Okay, so this is my first attempt at making a video for posting. We'll just straighten this out. Okay, and we're gonna do 1 point perspective. There's a couple basic rules about this, and beyond that, you can be very, very creative. So just to show you a couple of examples, you could do like a bird's eye view kind of thing. Or, and this one's not colored yet, but you could do, you know, a looking out into the distance. In the horizon line is back here. You've got your vanishing point. And the basic rules, all the lines are either parallel to the sides of the paper, parallel to the top and the bottom of the paper, or if it's a diagonal, it's going to go to the vanishing point. And that's it. If you can keep those three rules in mind, you can do pretty much anything. Of course, there are special shapes, which we will talk about in another video. But just getting started with this, the first decision that needs to be made is, are you going to do a bird's eye view kind of thing? Because with that, you don't necessarily need you're not going to have a horizon line. It would just be choose your vanishing point, and then you're doing your squares and rectangles all around that, and you want to keep them parallel to the sides of the paper. But if you want to do one of these kind of things, I'm showing all kinds of things here. If you want to do one of these, your horizon line can go anywhere. All right, so this was one where it's pretty much right in the middle of the paper. I'm gonna do one. Let's get a blank piece of paper. Sorry. All right, here's my blank piece of paper. And I'm going to just start with my horizon line. Now, for making this parallel, I kind of eyeball my whole ruler, make sure it's parallel to the side, the top of the paper, and I'm going to draw in very, 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 very lightly my horizon line. So there's my horizon line. You might not even be able to see it. So I'm going to do this a little off center. I'll just put my vanishing point over here. And I am going to do a small kind of road. So it's going to get smaller as it goes into the distance, because we're trying to create, one of the things that 1 point perspective does is it helps us create that illusion of three-dimensional space. And in three-dimensional space, when things are farther away from us, they get smaller. So I'm going to start in the foreground here, where things are closest to us, and I'm going to start with the face of, we'll call it a building. It doesn't necessarily have to be a building, but a form. We're going to start with the face of the form that's closest to us, and I'm making sure that I'm parallel, and I'm just going to do a simple kind of rectangle here, making sure it's parallel to the sides of the paper. And so I have that, and I'm doing light lines because if I need to erase, I want to be able to have it go away completely. So there's that. Then what I'm going to do is line up these three corners that are closest to the vanishing point. One at a time, I'm going to line them up to the vanishing point. And I'm actually not going to draw the line all the way there, because I am going to have to erase it, but you want to make sure it lines up there. So I'm now doing this one, not all the way, but I'm making sure every single one lines up. Okay, now I want to end the form, so I want it to be parallel to the front. So I'm going to give this a back, and this is a right angle, so my back is also going to be a right angle. So we're dealing with right angles, we're dealing with parallel lines, perpendicular lines, which the definitions of all of that I'll also talk about in another video. So I'm going to erase these little tails, and there's my first form in 1 point perspective. So two other little things I want to show before I end this. This is already longer than I was expecting. How to stack forms on top of each other and how to build back in space. So I'll do the stacking first. So it's going to start the same exact way. I'm going to start with my square or my rectangle that is parallel to the sides of the paper. Make this a little bit taller. And the closer I get to the horizon line, because this horizon line where the sky and the land meet is considered eye level. So the closer you get to eye level, the less of the tops of the buildings you're going to see. All right, so there's my stack, and here's one of the spots where I'm going to need to erase because this is now covering the back of this. And again, I'm going to line up my form, and I don't want this to fall off the back of the building, so I'm going to stop before I even get to the back. This, I'm going to line up to my vanishing point. I'm going to line up to my vanishing point, and I'm going to end my form parallel to the front. I'm going to end my form parallel to the front. And then I've got another couple of things to erase here. I'm going to erase this because it's overlapped. I'm going to erase this because we just don't need it. And there is my stacked form. So, building back in space, again, it's pretty much the same thing. You're starting with a square or a rectangle that is parallel to the sides, but it's going to be partially hidden by these forms in front of it. So I'm not drawing in the whole thing. Actually, I'm going to end it here. I don't like to end the forms where they're, you know, there's the corner of this guy, the back vertice. I wouldn't want to have this come out and have this coming up. It's kind of throws off the illusion a little bit. But if you have this corner, line that up, line that up. It's all pretty simple once you know how to do this. All right, so I've shown you how to do a regular form, a square, a cube or a rectangular prism. I've showed you how to stack them, and I've showed you how to build back in space. If you want to have a building that is taller than the horizon line, you can totally do that. Again, you do it exactly the same way. So I'm going to start with my parallel face. The closest face to us, the viewer, is going to be parallel, but it's going to go above this horizon line. And I'm going to maybe end it right here, parallel to the sides. Part of the horizon line gets erased. So I'm going to erase that. I'm going to erase this little guy. And now it's above the horizon line, so I'm not going to see the top of the building. I just have this line that goes down to the vanishing point. This line, of course, is going to go up to the vanishing point. And then this ends parallel. And I don't see that, you know, those corners that I've been working with. This one's now covered because I don't see the top. So that's how you build the basic forms.